Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to another episode of FPL Expectations with me, Craig. Now, breaking news last night emerged that, fixtures have changed. There are additional fixtures in for game week 18. Everyone's plans, we've all planned all our chip strategies. That's gone right out the window. We've had to dig deep. We've had to do a lot more planning in the last 24 hours, to be honest with you. And obviously, I never do this on my own. I leave it to the boys to do it. And with me in the studio today, we have FPL Mariner and James Stu. Boys, how are we doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, mate.
Happy New Year, boy.
Well, what a 24 hours it's been. Stressful, I know, for you in particular, Mariner. But, the last 24 hours, I mean, you've needed a couple of bottles of that, haven't you? But it's been one of those where, we've planned it over the last couple of weeks, and all our planning has kind of gone out the window with the introduction of game week 1 fixtures to the schedule. So for those of you out there who haven't been following and seen the whole Twitter universe, or rather the FPL community, kind of be really confused, because game week 1's fixtures, if you go back a few months, if you remember, Man United versus Burnley it was, and Man City versus Aston Villa got postponed due to both teams being involved in Europe from last season, which carried on obviously due to COVID. And those fixtures have now been put into game week 18. Mariner, thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. It's one of those ones where everyone's been planning for ages, right? First of all, the first thing we had, of course, was the people who wildcarded, and then the postponements happened. So that tripped everybody up. Then it almost turned on its head again now, because, Man City, Man United, Villa have got 3 games in that period now. Burnley are not quite so appealing, but those 3 teams really, probably, I'll come on to the order of how I look at them later, but they're really attractive now. So it depends how your team's set up. And this is why, poor Joe's not available because of something going on at home. But at the same time, he spent a lot of time doing he's redone his flowchart. So I've accosted that flowchart tonight for the purposes of this thing, and I'll run through it in a few minutes. But yeah, it's one of those ones where it's just another spanner in the works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we get any more spanners in the works for this season?
The thing about it is, obviously, if for those of you watching, if you have been following us, I think it was just last week we did a chip strategy episode. So if you haven't watched that and you do find that on our list, do not watch that.
No, there's no need. No, there's no need at all.
That's gone right out the window. But we've got the good news is that we've got a brand new episode for you. James, how's this affected you and your planning?
I think it's kind of hard to plan at all now. It's because you never know what's going to happen. And like Mariner was saying, City now look appealing, but maybe they're having some COVID troubles that could be about to come out. And it's rough, man.
Cheers, Kyle Walker.
That's a great one, right? I don't know, but we have
to be a bit careful about that. We might get taken to court if we comment on anything like that.
Man, it's rough. And then you look at United, and it's like, who would you bring in other than Bruno? I guess Rashford's the one.
Rashford. It's one of those. But we're going to go into it straight away, guys. We're just going to do a quick recap on game week 16. As you all know, it's very quick. The game's coming thick and fast. But Mariner, just tell us how you did in game week 16.
Well, 61 points. Miraculously, I think it was basically Leeds. Thanks, James, and Liverpool, which pretty much made my game week. And it just shows you don't need many differentials to make a big difference. For example, TAA there boosted me from on the live rank from 20 to 10, like that. Just with then the bonus points from Robertson as well, I should say. So that double up was really worked really nicely. So yeah, it was a funny old week though. Salah blanking again. Who would have expected him to blank twice
Well,
in 2 weeks?
and it wasn't a case of him not having chances.
I brought him in for West Brom.
It's your fault, Ben.
I haven't owned him the entire season, and I brought him in for West Brom.
Is this finally your payback for that Zaha debacle?
Yeah.
If I'd have known, I would have put it on someone else.
No, but it was crazy because in the sense that Salah did actually have 2 really good opportunities. One was a fantastic save by Darlow, obviously, and the other didn't even hit the target. So weird things happen at St. James's Park. As a United fan, definitely not complaining. But 61 points on in a week where fixtures were cancelled. Key players were missing out, and just got to look at your bench really, and you see the likes of Son on there, you see Calvert-Lewin on there. It's a strong bench.
Came on for a point, right? Davies came on for a point.
But that 61 points took you on the brink of inside the top 10K.
Yeah, I'm actually give the actual number 10,140.
Incredible.
They say if you look on the side, you can probably just see it on the slide at the side. You can see the percentage game week ranks, and there's 5 game week ranks this year where I've been within the top 3% in the world. So I think that's where I've been. That's where I've clearly they're the big jumps. Oh, hang on a minute. The cat's about to destroy the house. Sorry. So yeah, the he was just about to knock a load of glasses off the bloody hell. This cat is it?
They're the wine glasses, mate. Struggling after that. Swinging it from the bottle after that.
I don't know what's going on. He's a nightmare. No, 5 under 3%. And again, these are and the team value now is really high. I'm very happy with that as well. It's going well. I have to say though, and I do mean this. I don't want to sound remotely. I'm not trying to be clever there. I was really lucky this week because it's so unfair for these people who were wildcarded and this happened. And this is the situation with COVID. We really don't know what's going to happen next. The questions are already coming in about COVID, and I think that's going to be a big topic of tonight. But yeah, I'll take it when it is. And it's going to allow me to perhaps play a slightly different strategy, I think, now. Because I'm now looking at the long game, knowing full well that I'm actually in a fairly good position. And I can take a possible bit of a rank drop. It wouldn't kill me now, because I can then concentrate on building it as we go in, the back end of the season, perhaps. So yeah, Oliver's making an appearance, by the way. I don't know if you can hear him.
Yeah, I can. He's dying to pick his captain for
game
week 17, which we will touch on later.
You might actually see him later on the stream. So there we go. There's a little sneak tip. Anyway, but no, I don't want to obviously waste too much time on it. It was a good week. So I was very happy.
Fantastic. James, yourself, game week 17, were you in Mariner's boat in terms of having a good week, or were you on the other side of it?
No, we could just skip on pretty quick because I think I only had 6 people playing. I'm gonna be honest, it was a very disheartening week. I think I've had like 6 or 7 green arrows in a row, and then I felt pretty good given Grealish blanked and I had Son and the two. It was pretty disheartening hearing that Spurs game was cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, on our group chat, we were. I mean, when the rumours were coming out saying that the game could possibly be off. I mean, you obviously. I think you captained Son, didn't you? Did you captain Son?
Yeah, and it was also like I'm generally not very conservative with. I think I had 6 green arrows in a row, and I'd taken a hit every week. And this week, I decided to be conservative and save transfer. And I had Lamptey on the bench, so it was like the worst possible week to have non-playing players.
You've got to get rid of Mr. Greenhouse, mate. You can't have him in your team. He's got to go. I'm sorry, that he's just glass. He's just made of glass. He just drops to pieces at any moment. You really can't have him.
Right, but his quality, though.
All right, boys, we're going to move on to game week 17. For all of you guys that are watching right now, I do see you. Sorry, we've got to get straight into things Happy New Year to all of you that are watching right now. I see your questions. We're going to try and answer them later on in the show in our questions from the community section. But we're going to go straight into it. Game week 17. Now, as you know, as I mentioned at the start of the show, a lot of fixture changes have happened over the last 24 hours. That has affected transfer plans. That has affected chip strategy. And Mariner, sorry, what are you going to do in game week 17?
The short answer is nothing. I'm actually prepared to burn a transfer if I play my free hit next week, because I could make a move, but it wouldn't be a necessary move. And it would also perhaps move me away from, I think I'm quite very much a middle point at the moment. I could go either way.
Yeah.
And again, the questions are coming in about COVID, as we've said a minute ago. How is it affecting my strategy? It's making me wait. It's making me wait till the 12th. The 11th or the 12th, I will make my decision whether I free hit or whether I run with a weakened team. Very much dependent on, I'll have drafts for both, but it'll be down to the wire as to what I do, because the stories coming out of the UK is shocking. Obviously, I've got family across there. I keep an eye on it a lot. I'm sure we all do. And it's very worrying. And, I can't see there being fewer COVID cases with respect to the footballers. So I can only see there being more. And of course, bench boosting I think has nearly gone out the window now, actually, because I can't see how anybody can plan for a bench boost with what's going on. So I think a triple captain is probably a very strong side, and possibly a triple captain is the way to go if you're really attacking it. But the other side of it, of course, is what do we do with 18? So I'm at a crossroads, quite frankly. That's where I would describe myself. I've obviously got some more information I can show you in a couple of minutes. But if you're asking me where I am team-wise, I would say I'm completely at a crossroads. And at the moment, the captaincy is on Mr. Son, who I think James thinks, as a Leeds fan, is going to go crackers this week.
James, over to you. Game week 17. We know you have Son, obviously, as we just mentioned just now. Is he worth captaining against Leeds? I mean, we know how Leeds play. There's no surprises there. But surprisingly, they have kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, haven't they?
Yeah. No, I think. So we generally get that we have the most difficulty with teams that just kind of sit back, and that's been true for the past. That's been true ever since Bielsa arrived, and it's been true this season again. It's when we played Wolves, we played Leicester, and Mourinho's so good at setting up. And they're so fucking deadly on the counterattack. I think they're very likely to just pick us apart, pick us off on the counter.
So you're fancying a Son captaincy? Is that what you're saying?
Right now it's on
Son or Kane.
Yeah. So right now it's on Son, but I still might get Kane.
Okay.
And
just make sure you don't put the captain on Son and the vice captain on Kane.
Yeah.
The COVID.
The only reason why I like Kane, maybe over Son, is that we're so bad at defending set pieces, and we're so bad in the air.
You are.
Yeah, that tilts in Kane's favor a bit. So
it'd be right to give a penalty or 2 away.
Yeah. Sorry.
You'd be right to give a penalty or 2 away.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Son or Kane. I think both.
So you haven't made your transfers yet. You got 1 transfer, and you haven't made it yet.
I've got 2. Yeah.
You've got 2.
It's like it was going to be De Bruyne to Rafinha, and then.
Do you have a team? Get your team up for us, so everyone can see it.
Mate, this is going to be a while. It's not going to make for good viewing.
I'll just come on to some of our viewers and the comments on the side. Astrolicious, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year to you. Once again, thank you for all the support over the last few months to most of you guys out there. It's been great. We've been getting great feedback, and we're looking to provide content in the new year as well. Dean M, let's go champ. Exactly. We're trying to navigate ourselves around these next few weeks. I think it's going to be a tough one, but that's what we're here for. We're trying to make your lives easier in an FPL sense anyway. SJ, hi guys. Always love your show and great analysis. Appreciate your advice, please. SJ, we will come to your situation a little bit later on in the questions for community. Ashlelicious, I see your questions as well. Laz Bello, Happy New Year, mate. Hope all's well. Hope you ushered in the new year really well. Mariner, Ashlelicious says, congrats, Mariner. Great results. His OR rank is 74k at the moment, which is pretty impressive.
That's a great ranking. That's really that is anyone who's in or around I would say 100, 150k at the moment has really got the opportunity to climb if they use the chips well, and get a fair slice of luck. Let's not take that away, and gets the captaincy right. And this metric needs a kick. It needs to reset itself after 2 fails. But yeah, if he gets that, there's no reason why he can't get into the top 50k or even the top 10k. I think there's only 30 points between 50k and 10k.
Well, there you go, Ashlelicious. If that is not enough to motivate you, I don't know what is. James, we've managed to get your team up. We're just going to have a look at it finally. But yeah, you still have 2 free transfers this week. You're looking to bring in Kane. And are you going to roll the other, or I mean, I
have 2 moves in mind. One is I got to get rid of this dipshit.
Which one's that? Welbeck.
No,
the other one.
The other Brighton guy.
No, he scored. But
he's done all right for you, to be fair to him. I'll give you that. He was off the bench as well.
I'm either going to get rid of Lamptey and go for Peters, or I actually kind of like Tierney as well.
Yeah. Arsenal, they got some good fixtures, but no double game week.
To be honest, I'm not really worried about that stuff because I just feel it's so unpredictable right now. The kind of factor ahead is it's just I'd rather take the short term points than the more.
And I genuinely think there's a very, very strong argument to just make 1 transfer this week, roll 2, then you've got 11 days to think about it.
Yeah.
And I just think I think we have to be cautious at the moment. If we dive in, and I'm really bad at doing this sometimes. I have to hold myself back. I dive into something and think about something. And 15 minutes later, I'll be telling Joe on WhatsApp I've changed my mind. And it takes me a while. It takes me a while to process it, and that's why I'm giving myself a little bit of extra time. So I think 1 move is probably not a bad idea. But I would think you do have to consider. You
have to consider what you're doing in the next game week as well. If you're going to play a chip, if you're going to play your free hit, for example, I mean, you're losing the transfer straight away, and
you are. But is that really that bad? It doesn't really matter.
It is
at the moment. Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the moment. But what I would say is, if you are planning on trying to get 11 players who are doubling up in game week 19, I would strongly argue that you need at least 1 on the bench doubling up as well, because otherwise they're not. You could easily lose 1 of those, if not 2. Yeah. So even if you're not, you could be on the cusp of bench boosting without a goalkeeper like I am. But I just think even with 12 doublers, you could still need that 12th person. So I do think you have to try and your strategy has to be in the back of your mind what you want to do. Yeah. So as I say, Lamptey definitely. I agree.
Okay, James. So Kane in. I'm guessing that's for Danny Wells.
Well, yeah. So it's either Lamptey goes for Peters and Watkins comes in for Welbeck. Okay. Which I like because I kind of want to keep De Bruyne now that he's got that beautiful run coming up after this.
I agree.
Yeah.
The alternative is to go De Bruyne to Rafinha, and then I bring in Welbeck for Kane and just go fucking huge this week.
Okay, so you still in a dilemma. You do have 2.5 hours to make that decision. Just a reminder for everyone that's watching.
So I was about 4.5 million, maybe like 5 weeks, like a month ago. Now I'm up to about 2 million, and it's been taking a hit every week and just going against Leeds or whoever concedes a lot of goals. And then I took a hit for Rashford against Leeds, and they scored 6, and he got nothing.
Yeah, I remember that. How's your luck, eh? How's your luck? And he lasted about 1 week in your team, if I'm not mistaken, as
He
well.
only lasted 1 week in mine.
Yeah. We're gonna go on and
You can get rid of my pick off there, mate.
Yeah. Mariner, you were obviously on a call with Joe, who unfortunately couldn't make it for this show at the very last minute. But we're going to go in and talk about how we're going to plan for the next few game weeks coming up. Now, we thought we were set in stone. We thought we had our minds made up. I think Joe was set on using the triple captain in 19. Free hit was something that people were really obviously to do with all the blanks. Now, however, we've got new fixtures that have come in. We've got 4 teams that will be playing in that blank week in 18. How's it suddenly changed around, and what do our viewers do? People who are unsure, and as I see on the side, there are quite a few. How do they navigate themselves through this?
All right. So, I mean, I'm not sure if that's very clear, so I'll try and explain it. But I think
this is the same for those of you who are watching. If you're on Twitter, this is exactly the same one that Joe posted up on Twitter. I think it was earlier today.
Yeah,
so if you can't see it on the screens, do get it up on your Twitter page.
If we start at the top, and I'll move the mouse around so you should hopefully be able to see it. Do I have all my chips? The answer to that is yes, I do. Okay. So I'm across here. Do I have 8 or more players for game week 18? I do if I make the moves. So that's this little slight change. And I would have to take a -4 to get 8 quality players out for game week 18. I'll show you that in a few minutes. So I'll assume, yes, I can. Do I have 15 players for game week 19? The answer to that is no, I don't. I have Davis, who is like half a player at best. And I have Peacock Farrell, who would get -5 if he played. So, and he won't, no doubt, unless Pope gets COVID, and then that'll really hack James off if he brings Peters in, who actually I think is quite a nice shout because he's got an attacking possibility as well. I owned him last year and did really well off him. So that's where so I'm here. No, so I'm going to buy more players for game week 18, triple captain game week 19. Keep free hit for blank game week 29, wildcard 24-25, bench boost 26. That is my plan.
And that is set in stone?
No. And the reason it's not set in stone is what if I lose one player, just one player, I will not have 8 or more without taking an extra hit. And that then tips me to where Joe is. Because he's there.
Yeah.
He doesn't have 15. So he is playing free hit on 18. He is triple captaining in 19. He's still his plan to. And he's wildcarding 24-25, bench boost 26, which is the actual very common way of doing a bench boost. You play your bench boost historically very close to your wildcard.
Yeah.
To get the maximum benefit out of it. If you get those rights, they're 100 plus weeks, Yeah. Get it right. It's 100 plus. And then blank game week 29, Hail Mary. I'm afraid. Because we obviously don't know what's going on. And in fact, I don't think we're even going to hear about what double fixtures are going to be until around game week 23 or 24.
Yeah.
So there isn't an awful lot of time without a wild card to plan for a double game week in 26, probably without taking hits or without getting your 2 free transfers banked in advance and maybe taking a hit. But then, of course, what you've got to do is you've got to then springboard out of that into a blank game week. So then you're immediately then firing yourself down to try and get into and all that time, what you're potentially doing is affecting the quality of your team. So I actually think the long game, if we play a long game, if you can get 8 or 9, 9 would be preferable, but I'm not going to get to 9. But if you can get 8 or 9 game week 18 players, and they're not too many of them playing each other, but some will, matter of course, then you could be in a situation where you can get past it, providing you nail your captain, come away with it relatively unscathed, but then be in a far stronger position than probably 50% of the game going on for the next half of the season. Because I genuinely think 24 to 25 is when I'm going to wildcard. 26 is going to be the bench boost. And then I can just set my wildcard up for the bench boost. And then I can set my wildcard up for the rest of the season, or certainly the next 7 or 8 weeks. I don't have to worry about taking hits in 27 and 28 to try and change my team, and then hits in 30 and 31 to change it back. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my thinking. So the moment I saw the fixture changes last night, I immediately went, nah, free hit. And I got up this morning and started playing with it a bit. And I was still sat on free hit when I was talking to Joe at about 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I played with it again this afternoon. And I think I might have found a way. So let me show you what I was going to do. So that obviously people can rewind and have a look at this to the heart's content. So let's keep moving. I'm a bit mindful of time. So I'm obviously a bit in the dark here. But that's roughly where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I put a tweet out yesterday. So with all the uncertainty, Joe and I had just discussion. This was before we knew about the extra fixtures, actually. And it may be that we don't free hit in 18. If so, how many players would you be comfortable going in with? We could then hold our free hit for 29. 8 was the number. 561 votes.
Wow.
And you could see spread 6, 7, 8, 9. I was going to average it out, but no, I think we can comfortably say it's around 8 players. So that's what the Twitterati think about it.
That's right.
And,
James. Yeah. Sorry, Mariner, go on.
Sorry. So then we start looking at blank game week 18, and then we start looking at the matchups. So the matchups which jump out are, and if you see the higher the number, so for example, Man United attack 1.75, it's an arbitrary number which fits in Ben Krellin's spreadsheet by different. But the larger the number, the larger the positive number, the better. Okay, so Man United 1.75, Man City 1.17, Aston Villa 1.03. But then look at the defence. Man United 0.66, Arsenal 0.62, Newcastle 0.3. That suggests to me, as I've been saying for a number of weeks now, is attack is the way to go on that week. You don't necessarily, if you've got blank game weekers, if you're playing a blank, you want to attack it. You're not good. I think I'll only have one defender. I think I'll have one defender and a goalkeeper, and the rest will be midfielders and forwards, obviously. And again, I'll leave
just to be a little bit clearer for everyone watching.
Yeah.
So if you are going to take a couple of hits to get to around 8 game week players in 18, you're suggesting forget the defense, forget the keeper, take those hits in midfield and up front. Yeah,
you want the big guns. Who do you really want? It's probably fairly obvious. You want Bruno, you want KDB, you want Aguero if he's fit.
Yeah. Arsenal have cracking fixtures if they continue this form as well.
They do, but then they don't have a double in 19, do they?
They don't.
That's why Arsenal are not real. But Arsenal, I would have no problem with Arsenal, but the fact that I'm really looking at these teams who have 3 fixtures.
Okay.
Because I'm not, if I don't play a chip, I want players who can go all the way through the whole
But
game.
then in that, when you're looking at the attackers for these, I mean, obviously with United, you're looking at Rashford, you're looking at Bruno, you're looking at possibly Martial. And then at City, you got your KDBs, you got your Sterlings, Aguero's coming back into it. But then after Villa, you obviously Grealish, Watkins, and, McGinn maybe, or El Ghazi, who's coming to a bit of form. But then after that, you're looking at Burnley.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts to be like,
to be honest, this slide, I've jumped forward to it, and I'll come back to the double game week in a second, but I've jumped forward to this one in anticipation of what you're saying. Yeah. If you're looking at the teams with 3 fixtures,
Yeah.
you are looking attacking at Man United, Man City, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Aston Villa, Burnley, forget it. And defensively, Man City, Aston Villa, Man United, and Burnley, possibly forget it. But again, the numbers are more negative on defence than attack, which again suggests that you're probably wanting to be playing if you're not bench boosting, you're probably going to be looking at a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 for that week. But this is very interesting because this shows, look at these greens here. Really, really good fixtures. Man City, Man United, they are absolutely primed for doubling up, COVID aside, which is always a worry. I would even say tripling up is not out the question, but it's a risk with COVID, of course. Okay. But even Villa. So I think that whilst I think Burnley, and I know James is looking at Peters, and I think Peters might offer something attacking. He has done in the past. Well,
he's been playing as a winger in recent times, but obviously with the injury now,
he still gets fairly forward. He has a habit of getting forward. I think I quite enjoyed watching him last year, but I think you're right. He did play a bit out of position, didn't he, at one stage?
Yeah.
But I think the big 3 there are very clear to see. And if you're doing anything like I'm doing, possibly, then what you really need to do is major on these 3 teams. And I would think that a number of us have already got quite a few of these players.
I'm just going to go on something that you mentioned before, James, before I come to you. You actually threw something out there saying that to get KDB in, you're looking at taking Salah out.
Yeah. Well, Salah's got one less fixture. It's very straightforward. Salah's got one less fixture. I've only just brought him in. I've got 0.1 million in the bank. I think 0.1 or 0.2 cost to change him out for a few weeks. I could run for 5 weeks, then I can wildcard and bring him back in. I've got 105 point something million in the bank. So I've got that luxury of being able to do it. I'm not saying everybody has, but with all honesty, if you looked at KDB and Salah for predicted points, and there is something on Fantasy Football Hub within their Opta stats where it shows the predicted points for the next 7 weeks, and Salah is second behind KDB.
Okay. James, coming to you now. This is obviously, as I've said, it's going to span into the works to Mariners planning. But you were pretty okay with it when we threw that out there earlier on in the show. Are you still looking at taking a free hit in game week 18? Are you bench boosting or triple captaining in 19?
I'm going to say some stuff that runs fairly contrary to what Mariner just said. But right now I'm ranked 2 million. Mariner's 10K, so you should probably listen to him, and he's a much smarter guy than I am. But just to play devil's advocate, I do actually believe what I'm going to say. So whether it's fucking right or not, who knows? But
well, we'll find out. We'll find out in the next few weeks.
If he gets his pen and paper out to write down what he's saying, so I can respond.
I think this is probably a subjective thing, but I personally feel that the chips in general are pretty overrated, and I say maybe subjective because of my experience with them. But for example, now I'm 2 million, but last season I finished top 10K and I whiffed on every single one of my chips. I triple captain Mane when he got injured in the 6th minute against West Ham. On my free hit, every single player that I picked returned. Every defender got a clean sheet, and every midfielder and striker scored. But I captained Salah, and De Bruyne had double figure something. And so because of that, my free hit I didn't even get any more points than anybody else who didn't free hit. And so my experience in general with the chips has been pretty poor. So I don't value when you said just now, Mariner, that bench boosting after a wild card can be 100-point game week. Absolutely, it can. It definitely can. I've seen it. I personally have never seen it though. So when I think about shit like that, it's hard for me to justify. It's hard for me to think I'm going to dedicate 4 or 5 weeks of transfers to setting this thing up that's never worked for me in the past. And then when you think about when you said Salah has one less fixture, my concern with that also would be this season more than any other season. It seems like managers are preaching rest, and players need rest to avoid injuries. And I'll be I don't know how sure I will be that just because someone has an extra fixture, they're actually going to play that fixture. So
I've looked at that actually. There is a FA Cup fixture in the middle of that where I think KDB will get a rest, but there is also a semi-final of the League Cup. So this is the challenge. So yeah, I agree with you, and I think if you're looking at the order of the chips, I would say wildcard is the most valuable chip. I think free hit is the second most valuable chip. Bench boost the third, and triple captain the fourth. If that was me, that's the way I think of it. In that,
I would agree, except the only caveat to that would be the implicit cost of bench boost, which when you know I'm going to play bench boost in this week, it fucks with your strategy a bit, because now you have to make that bench boost worth it.
Yes. It does, particularly if you don't have your wild card and you can't set yourself up for it. For example, if you're taking a hit to bring a 4 point for a goalkeeper, for example, in, and then you've got to take him out again a few weeks later, what's the point?
Yeah.
So that's why I just think a free hit and a bench boost, a wild card followed by a bench boost is an easier way to actually get to it, is my perspective anyway.
Sure.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think chips can be completely overrated, but I do think if you can get them right, then it can have a real benefit as well. So
I think this is the thing with chips. It's obviously a massive swing if you get it correct.
Correct.
And obviously with James's experience last season, if you don't, then it goes the other side usually. But it goes into the 10K.
It preclude me from a top 10K finish either, though. So it's
I mean, look, generally speaking, if you're finishing in the top 10K or in the top 50K, right, you've nailed your captain more often than not in the season.
Definitely got lucky too. Definitely got lucky.
And you've got luck. Yeah, because there is a lot of luck involved in this game. You're
100%. Absolutely right.
I would ask you as well, do you guys think about? Because I think both of you in the chats, it seems like you're both pretty, I would say, pessimistic about getting through this season unimpeded, without possibly a pause. Anything about last season? They gave us a free wild card after that.
Yeah, I know, and I've seen a couple of people, including Andy from Let's Talk FPL, talking about wildcarding next week or in 18. And I just wonder whether in the back of people's mind there is the thought that there's going to be a pause for 2 months and then they're going to get unlimited transfers. It makes you think. I don't know whether they've thought that deeply, but it could happen, couldn't it? It could definitely happen.
I mean, like you said, Mariner, the stage in which the UK is at right now, everything points to a national lockdown. Everything points to just putting a halt on everything. And I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking about all types of sports. And I agree with you. I think we're very close to that. Now, the one thing that I would say is that I do remember last season when they did give us that wild card after just before it was meant to resume, and certain people had obviously played transfers, or they played a chip just before that. Just before everything got halted. And there was a big thing on Twitter about whether, I don't know if you were one of them, James, you didn't really rate, or you didn't really like the fact that they'd given out another wild card.
I fucking hated it because I was winning on Minleague.
Well, that's the thing. And I know, just being on Twitter, that it was a big issue for a lot of players, because they'd already kind of played certain chips and everything. And it gave the chance for
I feel like they caved to peer pressure on Twitter. I actually think that they caved to it.
You did?
I think so, yeah. I definitely don't think it was in their plan to do that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if they make this a thing, should the Premier League obviously be paused, or they go down a different avenue. And I think like you just come back to Andy. I just think that it's a bit premature to play your wild card and in anticipation of it.
I don't know that he has. I questioned him, actually. I tweeted back at him asking you to say, you sort of like have a knee-jerk stream. Are you knee-jerking?
Yeah.
I actually asked him that question. He said no, he would free hit in 29. So he's not using his free hit. So he's keeping his free hit. So he's just going to build himself up for the double rather than wild card, which you can do with planning. But remember, you don't know when who these double game weeks are going to be.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know the fixtures. Yeah.
And that's why I like the idea of this second wild card around 23. I think 24, actually. I think 24 is the obvious place. You'll see on the next, because I've screenshotted Ben Krellin's spreadsheets in a second, so I'll run on to that.
We'll come on to that, but we're going to go. We've done 18. We've covered what you boys are looking at doing. Double game week 19. Bench boost time or triple captain time?
Well, I mean, again, it's very much dependent on how many players you've got. I think, and there's been, I say, Magnus has just commented. I don't know if you can, I'll try and put Magnus's comment on the screen, actually.
Hold on,
There we go. I've just done it. The points you gain from that one game week might not be worth it if you mess your team up in the game weeks leading to it and coming from it. Absolutely correct. So if you've got to take hits to actually get to the point of bench boosting, triple captain is the obvious chip. I think one hit max, and then you really need to you probably need a playing goalkeeper. Not a lot of people will, although some people are starting to set themselves up with a second goalkeeper for COVID. I've seen a few people do it now, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. But, we've also got other fires to put out. It's not just these, with Charlie Taylor shaped fire to put out on a couple of our correspondents. And Joe, which is bad, which is nothing more than bad luck. But that's tipped Joe away from being able to ride 18. He has to free hit now because he cannot. He has to take hits to do it, lots of hits to do it otherwise. So it's all going to be dependent on where you sit at that time. But I would argue that if you're trying to build for bench boosting in 19, there's a hell of a lot of landmines you could step on between now and then with respect to what's going on. And that's why I think possibly triple captain is the way to go at this moment in time.
Can I just say one more thing about the free hit? I just think that there's more than one factor that determines whether you should or should not free hit, and it's not just how many fixtures there are, and then can you get enough players playing in those fixtures. I think quality of fixture also matters.
I agree.
Are there enough fixtures that you want that you feel good about having players in those games to return? That's also questionable.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And you've got Villa playing Spurs, haven't you? So there's one where they're immediately playing against each other. So again, it'd be interesting.
But then doesn't that go back to Mariner? What you were saying in terms of the fixtures, they get Villa obviously not a great fixture in 18 against Spurs, but sorry, not Villa, but. We're looking at the double game week. So they obviously played Spurs, but they got Everton, Man City. I mean, it's an extra fixture.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I do think that these are the teams that we generally want to have more than one player. I mean, I've got 3 Villa already, although one of them's Davis.
Because we're looking. I'm just looking at. I've got 3 Villa, so I'm committed. But I'm looking at their 3 fixtures in 18 and 19. It's Tottenham, Everton, and Man City.
Yeah,
I mean, not one of them do you fancy, Watkins getting a return.
Well, you would argue on the basis of those greens on that screen, you would say they may well do. And the fact is that Man City and Everton are really no great shakes at defending at this moment in time. They're conceding a lot of chances. Now, it only takes Grealish or someone like that, and the return of Barkley. I think that could be a big advantage for a while.
I mean, we've seen the finishing quality of of Watkins. So I don't think
fans are from a yard, right?
How
so.
dare you besmirch Watkins? He's fucking carrying you. He might not be scoring. He's getting
Watkins. Okay, you had one game week where you got 11 points. But other than that, I mean, the 3 previous ones, he's get me 2s.
I don't even own him. Never have. I think it's just off the cuff, but I think I saw a live stream of FPL Family where I think Sam broke the camera. She had to fit through something across the room in the camera. That's what Watkins does to you, right? He drives you crackers. But, with the right service, Aston Villa are a very, very good attacking side. A very good attacking side. They've showed that, haven't they? They did have a lot of luck against Liverpool, let's face it. But they're a decent side, and I can see them scoring in those games.
It's too late in the season to say that they're riding some kind of lucky wave. I think they've demonstrated they're at the very least a solid team.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no, definitely. So I mean, if we just look at these matchups again, and look at these bigger numbers. Look, 2.4s, 2.4s, 2.2s, 2.1s, 1.9s. That tells you again that those 5 teams there, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Chelsea, have all got good possibilities for returning during that time. Okay, so again, if you've got players, the obvious ones, Man United, Man City, Villa, they're the players who, if you were trying to navigate through 18 and go into 19, that's where you're going, right? That's where you're going. Yeah. Chelsea, Ziyech is coming back, isn't he? I think he's training now.
Yeah,
slowly but surely getting fit and starting to look a bit sharper. So that's an interesting price point in midfield, where if you're maybe downgrading Son for the double, which some people might look at that way. I'm possibly looking at Rashford instead. But I'll come on to my ideas in a second. But defensive-wise, West Ham still look okay. Chelsea look okay. But then Man City, Villa, they're all in negatives. I mean, look, for the purpose of this audience, right, a number of 0.2 means nothing. It just means it's pretty much balanced. 0.28, it's just pretty much balanced. But once you start seeing numbers of +2 or -2, then that's when you're starting to think, oh, there's something in this. Okay, so this is the way I look at it. So it's just there just as an arbitrary number. Higher the number, the better. Lower the number, the worse. Darker the red, the worse. Darker the green, the better. Okay. So just moving on. Whoops, just done the wrong thing. Sorry, that was my fault. I pressed the wrong button. Right, here we go. So this is the option 1. So option 1, free it in 18, triple captain in 19. So what I would look at doing is just roll into 18, take Son out for KDB in 19, and probably Kufal out for Stones in 20, and off I go. And there you see I've got
19, De Bruyne. Yeah, De Bruyne in, Son goes out, and then 20 you're taking Kufal out for Stones, and then a little bit further down 23
there. Because I think double City is actually quite nice going on. The Man City are one of the few teams which are good both sides. Yeah, so that's why I quite like that. And then I might be swapping back from KDB back to Son by around about 23 to do it that way as well. So that's a pretty conservative sort of way of playing it, I think. But it does mean you're burning your free hit, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I went the other way,
option 2,
which is triple captain only. So what I would do, I've not made any moves, as I've said.
Yeah.
So what I'd possibly look at doing is 3 moves in 18 for 18. So Alexander-Arnold out. It pains me to take him out, but I need the money. So that would be Diaz coming back in for his double. So it'd be a doubler going out, but we would need to make some money. But again, Diaz, Brighton, Palace, Villa, West Brom, Sheffield United, Burnley. Why not? Right? Great.
Yeah.
Salah coming out in 18 for KDB. Again, just to give me that extra player in 18. And Davis coming out, thankfully.
You've held on for him far too long.
I know, but to be honest, it did allow me to move around, and it was at the time when I was jumping up the ranks, so it did actually probably work. But yeah, Davis to possibly to Martial. So I could end
Martial now, obviously with Cavani's ban.
Yes.
It kind of works out for him to start a few more games.
Yeah, and again, so if you looked at 18, I would have Martinez, Diaz, Fernandez, Grealish, De Bruyne, Son, Calvert-Lewin, and Martial. I don't think that's a bad team at all. I don't think that's too bad at all. Now, obviously, what could go wrong? COVID could go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why I always have the free hit up my sleeve if things go wrong. And that's why I'm playing a very neutral game at this moment, not doing much at all with respect to the strategy, and prepared to just sort of like ride it through for now. Then, of course, for the double, then I could take Son out for Rashford. There's my triple. There's my triple Man United. And then you look at Man United's fixtures: Liverpool, Fulham, then Sheffield United, Arsenal, Southampton, Everton, West Brom. So
they're fairly tasty, yeah.
I think it looks fairly well. I think it looks fairly well set, actually. If I can just get through, and there is one other spanner in the works, and that's Grealish. He's on 4 yellows. If Grealish picks a card up, he's suspended next game.
Yeah. And he plays obviously later tonight against United. So
if Grealish picks a card up, then I am quite frankly there.
Okay.
It's literally almost one thing. If I can get through it and get it to the perspective where Grealish is actually playing, then I think that's good. Because the other thing, of course, is if you look at this, I've got quite a bit of money in Grealish. I've got quite a bit of money in Calvert-Lewin. So I'd like to hold them for a little bit longer, at least up to the wild card, when I can cash in on them if I want to.
So just to reiterate which you favour the most, it's option 2 ideally, where you can obviously play with, I think it's 8 players in 18, and then triple captain in 19.
Yeah.
But if Grealish or there's any new COVID rules or news that comes out, you will be heading for option 1, which is free hit. And,
I will. I mean, bear in mind, there's the 3 moves I've got to make. I could make other moves to get the same way, but I'm thinking that Grealish is quite a kingpin in all this.
Yeah.
So,
Who would have thought?
No, I mean, I just think he's going to be quite important for the whole thing. But again, the other thing is at that funny price point, there's not a lot of other players around that price point. No. So although I have got a bit of money in the bank, but not a lot, then it would probably then mean I've got a bit of a problem with going forward. So I'd have to then rejig it. So what I would say, I would feel, my gut feel tells me if Grealish picks a card up, I'm probably going to free hit.
Okay. James, have you planned that far ahead in terms of options and what you're thinking? Or you're sticking to it? Man. You're not a planner, right? I thought as much. Go with the flow, see what happens.
Mariner on this stuff.
Yeah. So
I've got a stress ball for Christmas, look.
So you're undecided, James, going into these this kind of whole next few weeks where it could be. I mean, these next few weeks, if you navigate it right, and obviously we talked about the importance of chips and how you play it. I mean, it could potentially be a massive swing going into. I mean, we know, later, further down the line in, 24 and 25, there are options to play wild cards, triple captains and other chips. But I mean, if you get it right, you're moving straight up there if you get it right. And you know, Mariner, if you go down the route where, you know, you're not going to do anything in terms of free hit, you're only going to triple captain in 19, you could, you know, from where you are right now on the verge of, you know, breaking into the top 10K, you could, you know, plunge a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And someone asked me earlier on Twitter, what about the cup? I said, well, I don't care about the cup.
Yeah, I mean, forget about the cup. I mean,
I
think
I'm not going to win that. I'm not going to win that. So I'm not going to win this. But no, it's just, I just think it's, I think I'd probably have less, I'm going to have some, I probably have less sleepless nights doing it this way than I would probably trying to get through 29. Okay. But in in a funny sort of way.
All right. Well, we're going to move on. We've spent enough time on this. I know it's really important, but we've spent a lot of time. We do want to answer some questions from the guys. We're coming up to an hour, but quickly, captaincy metric for 17.
Right. Yes. And there it is. Even with poor form, you have Kane and Son sat there. Now, this is clearly form over the fixture over form for Spurs.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And James has already mentioned that, you know, he's a little bit pessimistic about Leeds' chances. I'd probably agree.
No, I think we're still going to win. We're still going to win.
You told me they were going to win earlier.
As we can see.
I just think that, look, I actually think if I was going to call it, I said it earlier, I'm going to say it now, 4-2. I think there'll be a lot. I think there could be a lot of goals.
Well, I mean, when United and Leeds faced off, I mean, I think on a group chat we said, you know, this is something that, you know, there's going to be a lot of goals. We got 8 out of that one. Jose's pragmatic style. I mean, will that come into play?
Inserted a rocket into a certain orifice, I would probably suggest after last week. I don't think he was very happy, was he? So I think there'll be a reaction. They've also rested. And Leeds have conceded a heck of a lot of chances. A heck of a lot of chances. So, you know, and the shout which James mentioned about Kane, yes, headers, very much so. There's very, very good chance of a header being scored, I would suggest, given the amount of chances that Leeds concede. But that said, I think Leeds can score. So that's why I think it could be, 3-2, 4-2, something like that. I think it could be a really good game to watch. It could be a really good game.
Games are good.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say that. I think all Leeds games are pretty entertaining. I think if you're a Leeds fan, it's probably the worst.
Yeah,
from a neutral perspective.
When I said I'd enjoy watching Leeds. And then you've got Bruno, of course. Salah and even Grealish, all pretty much close by. But Fernandes clearly on form, if you look at the returns there, is miles ahead. So of the others. So I think, again, I said this last week, and I'll say it again now. The moment Fernandes starts getting the nice fixtures, Fernandes is going to be a really strong captaincy option through that blank and double game week period. A very strong captaincy option. I would be very surprised if he doesn't top the metric all the way through that period. That's just looking at it from now. And so I think Bruno is bordering on essential at this moment. I would say bordering.
James, on as a Leeds fan, are you still going to go with Son as captain?
Actually, I just made my transfer. I brought Kane in. I'm going to captain Kane.
Okay, so Kane in for Welbeck?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, hey, you got to check. I mean, not many brought Welbeck in, to be fair. But so you brought Kane in. You're going to captain him. You've got Son as well. Am I right? I'm just going to get your team up, actually, just before we get to Oliver. I'm just going to get your team up quickly. So do you want to refresh that? Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's not going to be popular.
Harry Kane comes into the team. Armband is on him, facing Fernandes, which is Bruno. So you reckon, from a Spurs point of view, that they're going to create chances, they're going to be finishing chances?
Yeah, big time. I even like Deer to possibly get a header.
Okay, interesting. I had him at the start, just waiting for that, and it never ever happened. So, yeah,
it's really entirely possible that that they could score with a header. Entirely possible.
Yeah.
Well, Mariner, the last time you made a shout like that, it actually did come true. So I would be listening to you on this.
It's that headed metric I've got. It's that headed metric which I've got, which works quite well. It shows very clearly the games where pretty much people are now saying they only look for it to see if they want to start Souček or not.
Yeah, pretty much so. All right, so that's what we're going with. This is the captaincy metric ahead of game week 17. Son is the man to captain if you do have him, obviously. Bruno is second. Mo Salah third. However, if you do have Harry Kane, do you, instead of Son, do you captain him instead?
Harry Kane instead of Son?
Yeah, if you had...
I probably
if you had Harry Kane and no Son.
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay, there we go.
I'm so far behind. I feel like I have to go.
You have to go differential.
No, I just think Kane. I think Kane, considering he's on penalties, they've only had a couple. I think they're probably due one.
Okay. All right. That's that for game week 17. We've covered 18. We've covered 19. Now is the time. All those questions that you've been asking us on the side. I haven't had the chance to go through it. I will do so now. Boys, I think Mariner, you can see them as well on yours. On your side, so you can have a gander at it. James, obviously you don't have the luxury. I'll get the questions up here. The first one is from SJ, and this is it. Sorry, James, you're getting blocked, but that's the question right up on your screen. How much has the worsening COVID situation in UK affected your chip strategy? Is it wise to use bench boost for an extended game week like 19, which could say which is cancelled at the last minute? SJ, I'm going to save us a little bit of time here. We have covered this topic. We have covered this, the answer to this as well. If you're still with us, do rewind back. I think you should have seen it live anyway. But if you need to turn your Tony, but if you did miss it by any chance, do you can rewind it back and have a quick watch once it gets posted up. So that has been answered. Astrolicious, I have a question as well. I'm going to sell Taylor and have the money, but which one do I think is best? Or do you think is best? Cancelo, Bellerin, Tierney, or somebody else? Astrolicious, you have exactly the same problem I have right now with Taylor. I was speaking to the boys on our group chat, as well as Mariner, just before we came live. Mariner, you've given me the answer for this. Do you want to tell Astrolicious who the best option for Taylor is?
None of those. John Stones, I think.
John Stones. So that if you do have Diaz or if you do have someone like Mendy, it would mean a double up on City defence, which Mariner's absolutely comfortable with. James, who would you take? I know you quite fancy Arsenal.
I do like Tierney, but I think Stones is a shout.
Okay, that's great. A lot of congratulations messages for you on the side here, Mariner, for your great game week 16, and obviously your OR rank. DNM asks, my team is currently 3-4-3. Martinez, KWP, Justin, Diaz, Mo Salah, Son, KDB, Rafinha, Kane, DCL, Watkins, sub Lamptey. He's planning for game week 18 and was wondering if he should
do what?
Take Salah out. I'll continue that one there. Bruno. Take Salah out for Bruno in game week 18 for the single game week, then free hit 19. Interesting. Free hit 19 and get Salah in for the 2 games, then keep Bruno for 20 as Salah has Tottenham in 20. So this is another interesting kind of way. We haven't actually looked at it this way.
No. And again,
it could be some sense to this.
Yeah, there is. You can see the sense in that. I mean, obviously that's the different way of using, and it still involves using your free hit chip, which, as I've been saying now, I'm not too keen on it. So I think what I would say is how many players has he actually got, and can he just use the triple captainship in 19? But I mean, to be honest, it doesn't sound remotely stupid. because I'm thinking of taking Salah out as well. But I would leave him out. I would leave him out for the double game week as well. I would just leave KDB in.
James, what do you think of that strategy?
Well, yeah, I'm going to take Salah out too, but for KDB.
Okay, so everyone is in agreement that Salah does come out in this period. SJ is asking again, are 6 to 7 players, including KDB, Bruno, and Kane, enough for game week 18 without using the free hit? If you are on Twitter, Joe has a fantastic flow chart which we can look at. I think Mariner did a poll yesterday. We're in agreement that about 8 people should be enough. 8 players should be enough for game week 18 without using that free hit.
Got to be good players. Good
players. Attacking.
Don't count Davis in that, right?
Yeah.
Don't count someone like Davis or Brewster or someone like that. Don't count. Just cross them off. Count them as zeros. You really need like KDB, Bruno, Kane. Fantastic. Who's the other 4?
Yeah. A lot of Happy New Year messages on the side. Happy New Year to everyone watching and those who were watching earlier. Sorry, we've just had so much to get through that we really couldn't entertain a lot of the questions as they were coming in. Nikhil, a nice little message there. First time watching your live show. Loving it. Happy New Year, guys. Astrolicious, I strongly believe that with a good run of the captaincy metric, we can make an amazing run for the rest of the season. We believe in Mariner. We also believe in Oliver the Cat. Yeah. Dean asks, is Holgate from Everton a good option? 4.8 million. I think you could get John Stones for 4.9 or 4.8 or 4.9, roughly around the same. So just to go back to one of the questions that was asked earlier, we feel John Stones around this value is the best option. Vincent asking, where's Joe? Joe, unfortunately, had a family emergency that he had to attend to. We did not kick him off the show, Vincent, so he will be coming back. Don't worry. There's a bit of concern from him. There you go. Bring Joe back. Yes.
He'll get another card, though.
So he failed the late fitness test, so he can make it. But he is very still much part of FPL expectations, so don't worry about that. I triple captain Joe in reference to our tweet. So that's all good. Hadi Ryan says he's going to triple captain in game week 19, just like you want to do, Mariner. So you might have sold him on that. Here's one. Is Zaha out after this game week? I see on the price on FPL stats that he is rising in price tonight. But he's in good form, isn't he, Wilfred Zaha?
Playing.
Palace, just trying to find the fixtures. They got decent fixtures. They've played Sheffield United, obviously, in 17. Arsenal, can you see Arsenal conceding goals? Possibly. And then it's City, which is a bit tough. But then after that, it's West Ham, Wolves, Newcastle, Leeds, Burnley, Brighton, Fulham. I mean, that's a hell of a run of fixtures for them.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I might get rid of him.
Get rid of him?
Yeah. I just think the template midfield is so strong right now. Where's the midfield spot for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. It depends how much. As I say, I quite like, particularly if he can get up to them. If he can get up to someone like a Chelsea asset, one of those 8 million Chelsea assets with the double game week that and the fixture flying out the other side, then that might not be a bad bet. And Pulisic doesn't become a bad player overnight. He just needs time to get right. And I think he's...
Well, here's another one. If you're talking about cheap Chelsea attack, I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi made his... had his first start, I think, in what feels like forever. But he's at a decent price. The only thing is squad rotation with him. And
Frank, nobody know what Fat Frank's doing anymore, do they? I can't work him out.
Okay. Magnus, any news on which players from Fulham have COVID? I don't think they've released that, and I don't think they intend to. But there are quite a few rumours floating about which, if you want to really read into it. But I don't know how much of that we should be looking at. Dean asked, will Lamptey be fit for the single game week? I wanted to Mariner, I'll leave this one with you. And James as well, actually. James, you still
I doubt it.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think Graham Potter has come out and said that he is still not fit, so I don't expect him to be.
He clearly needs. If it's a hamstring and it's a recurring hamstring, is it hamstring?
Yeah,
if hamstring. He needs some time because he's such a live wire on the pitch. Is there any wonder that he's twanging muscles?
You could have changed that to "will be fit ever again this season." I would have
still be doubtful. He'll have a yellow next to his name.
Watch, but he's a terrible asset because every time I ever wanted to play him, he was injured.
I mean, don't forget the red card you got and the own goals.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough for Lamptey. Vincent, Man City blank game week 18 in defence, only minus 0.4.
They've conceded a lot of chances, but remember, that doesn't mean an awful lot. That just means it's about neutral. So I still don't think Man City defence is bad. I just think that they seem to concede a lot of chances. Edison's got COVID, though, hasn't he?
Well, he is isolating, I think it is.
Apparently,
he's isolating, isn't it? Yeah. So
again, is that going to change them? They could be conceding chances. The way these metrics work is they work on chances. They work on XG against XGC, expected goals against expected conceded. They work on shots in box against shots in box conceded, and big chances against big chances conceded. Just attack against defence and defence against attack. So if these numbers are low, it suggests that they're getting a lot of chances against them, or more chances than other teams. So for that reason, it never surprises me if Man City concede. Never surprises me if Liverpool concede at the moment, even though I'm doubling up on them, and then holding my breath for 90 minutes, hoping to God it works. But I would argue that, a John Stones at 4.8 is still great value. Great value.
Okay. Dean goes back to the question that we put up the metric. Kane or Son captain. James, for the record, is going Kane. Mariner's going Son. So the metric.
I might go Kane, though. If I owned Kane, I might go Kane because I think he's due a penalty. And I think there might be some assists in there. But I do really fancy. Pardon?
There is a but there. The metric says.
Metric says Kane, doesn't it? Kane's at the top, isn't he?
Swear was Son.
No, it was Kane.
Kane.
Oh, was it Kane?
Yeah. But they're basically on the same number, so you could call them equal first. But there's clearly a point something in there. But I mean, look, Kane is going to be there probably for assists and penalties and possibly a header. Son, on the other hand, is going to be there for those balls over the top, throw the high line, running down those channels, cutting in. We know what he does, right? And we probably know that Leeds will give him the space to do that. So either or, I would probably say, but I think the penalties might just swing it.
Swing it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a little bit of concern as to the Fulham-Burnley game because Scott Parker didn't show up for his press conference. But is he still isolating, or is he back in the dugout? No.
No, I've no idea. I think he was isolated before, wasn't he?
Sorry, I just scrolled down a little bit. I think he did turn up in the end, so probably just a bit late. Just trying to see any other questions that we have that we need to be answered. Astrolicious and Diaz, or he went Diaz rather. So he should go for Stones. Although Magnus Anderson, this is one. Rob Holding. Now, Arsenal seem to have kind of found their, coming back into a bit of form. I'm still not too sure about that Arsenal defence, but in terms of value for money, I mean, Holding's still below 5 million. He should be a decent option as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think, again, it just depends what you're doing in that double game week. If you are playing triple captain, you can bench him. Then Arsenal haven't got some bad fixtures, right? Got Newcastle in the door.
They've got very good fixtures, Arsenal.
Palace and but it just depends what you're doing in
18, 19.
In 18, really. That's well, 18 and 19, probably 19. Yeah. I mean, if you are free hitting in 18, you might easily have an Arsenal defender in, I would suggest.
Okay, Navin asked us, Grealish is blanked for the past 2 game weeks. Is he a dud? Should we jump on the El Ghazi bandwagon? Now, I think Anwar El Ghazi has got 3 goals in his last 3 games. He's really exploded, shall we say. And he's much cheaper than Grealish. But do you do that? Do you do that switch?
James, do you want to go first? What are you ranking?
It's a no for me. I just think Grealish is.
I mean, he's a talisman for Villa, isn't he?
Yeah, he's such a focal point, and it is hard to see. I know that he's blank, but I find it very difficult to see them getting anything, and he's not involved.
Just look. Let's just double up on him, mate.
Yeah, wow, that's another option, I'm sure. Hadi Raihan asks, is Rafinha a good option in the coming weeks, or is there a better player in that 5.5 price range? Now, this is something that's coming. I'm going to come to James first on this, obviously, because it's exactly Leeds' concern. But this is a really interesting one because you've got Jack Harrison as well in that price range, who returned. Rafinha obviously is on a pretty good run as well. How do you see this one, James?
Well, okay. I think just because I'm a Leeds fan and I watch all the games, I don't think that necessarily makes me the authority on this, because I think the points are going to be pretty spread out the way we play. Personally, I just had the option to get it. I had to get in a midfielder for 6 million, and I went Neto instead because he's got the fixture on the blank, and I don't like Leeds next couple game weeks. And also because I kind of might want Rodrigo as my third instead of Rafinha.
Interesting. So
I still think he's a good shot.
So you went with Neto in that price range, yeah? Just
I think for the next couple of weeks, I think I don't think Rafinha is going to get much.
Okay, there you go, Hadi. I hope that helps you. Mohammed Fudsley asked, is Stones nailed on to start? Well, he's as nailed on as he can be starting the last 6 game weeks.
I think he's played 90 in 5 in the last 6. He seems to have rested every third. He plays 3 and then rests. So he could be due. He might be due a rest. So we just have to watch this. But no, he looks in as far as you could be in Pep's favour at the moment, I would say. But he's only 1 balls up away from getting dropped, isn't he? That's John Stones. That's John Stones.
That's him. Yeah, one lapse of concentration or a misplaced pass, and then that's him back on the bench. And I think Pep's actually come out and said that. It was something along the lines: if you're playing well, I don't drop you, but as soon as you kind of fuck up, then that's it. There's a few from Mohammed Fazli. Who would you take between Barnes and El Ghazi? Tough one. Obviously, form. I think El Ghazi's firing, but Harvey Barnes has scored a few in the last few games as well.
I don't know about Barnes. Barnes is much more expensive. He also doesn't have 3 fixtures. He only has 2.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, isn't it?
That points you at El Ghazi, and El Ghazi's on penalties, whereas Barnes isn't. He could win a penalty, could Barnes. I quite like him, but he's just, for some reason, I've never had a very good experience with him. Every time I've flirted with bringing him in, he's either something's gone wrong, or or he's missed something from a yard out or something like that, and I've promptly rage transferred him back out again. So it's maybe not the best person to answer that question.
Okay, Hala, Antonio, or Rodrigo? James?
I think Rodrigo's a great shout. I don't know what Antonio's fitness is.
I think he's back. He came off the bench in the last game. But Rodrigo, you did mention Leeds don't have great fixtures coming up.
No. This is tough because if Antonio had been fit for another 2 or 3 weeks, this would definitely be Antonio for me.
Yeah.
Definitely, because quite frankly, the moment he's played 3 or 4 weeks, he'll probably be on my second wild card and he'll be in for the rest of the season.
Okay.
He's fit.
He's insane.
He's brilliant. value. But the trouble you've got is that you could bring him in for a double game week, and West Ham's double game week is really good, right? Burnley and West Brom.
Yeah.
But
They have really good fixtures.
Is he going to play both games?
Mm.
That's the problem, because we don't quite know. So I might go with Rodrigo. I've liked what I've seen of Rodrigo. He always looks like he's on the verge. He's never quite got there yet. Yeah. So he's a bit of a gamble. But saying that, so is Antonio at the moment. I think if he's thinking about making a move in game week 19, which is a while away now, then Antonio might be a great option if you can sit on your hands for a couple of weeks.
Okay. Vincent asks, is it a good game week to bring in Maguire or Diaz? I have Grealish in the team as well. I don't know what I want if I own both Maguire and Grealish.
Yeah, that's always the problem, isn't it? One against the other. I think that answers his own question. I don't know that if he's banking on Grealish getting a return, he probably wouldn't want to bring someone in to play against one of his other. I don't generally do that.
Okay.
I don't generally do that. Look, again, for me, and I flirted with bringing a Man City player in this week. I didn't, because I think they might concede. So I personally am going to bring one in. It probably, as you've seen from my plans, it's probably going to be next week when I start moving onto Manchester City defence. But Diaz is a great option, but he's 0.9 more expensive than Stones. I know we keep going on about John Stones. We're having a John Stones love-in tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah, I never thought I'd ever talk on an FPL pod about John Stones.
What do you say, James? Sorry?
I would say you're the United fan. You've probably got the best opinion on Maguire.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a defensive point of view, even if you look at conceding chances, I think United are always prone to concede a few. But I mean, if you give me the option right now, and just looking at the fixtures, the Edison situation concerns me a little bit. Yeah, because I think they bring in this kid, this American kid, Zach Steffen, if I'm not mistaken, and he's played for them in the League Cup. And sometimes when you throw a kid into the mix, you sink or swim kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see. And they play Chelsea this week, which isn't an easy fixture. So it really depends if you're preparing for the future game weeks for me. But I like Maguire. I think from an attacking point of view, I don't think Stones will be giving you much. But Maguire's, he'll get his head on the end of his slaved, as people like to say, on the end of a few crosses. But his goal returns has been relatively poor for someone that's so good, so dominant in the air. But I'll go, if I had to choose between the two, it's Maguire for me, just because of Edison.
Saying that, I'm sure I've seen John Stones pull an England shirt on and score with an header before now.
I mean, Danny Welbeck scored for England. Let's
well, yeah, that says it. Yeah, move on.
Is Saka a good cheap option for the single?
Yeah, if he's fit.
Yeah. He's a doubt, but I think Arteta said he should be okay.
Again, another player who could well be in my wild card, my next wild card. I think he's a good option. But again, Arsenal have got to. They're showing some green shoots of recovery. I think we can safely say, but whether it's just a little bit of a thaw before a deeper winter remains to be seen. I don't know.
They're not creating a lot of chances though. They're not scoring a lot of goals and also Saka.
When they do, Saka is involved.
Yeah, he's the best player, but he's also played by far the most minutes of anyone, and including England.
Yeah. I don't think he's played that many minutes. It's only in the last few game weeks where he's kind of like come into the team. But I could totally be wrong.
I don't think he was on my radar at the start of the year, and he dropped off fast. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I heard it on TV this morning. That's what I was saying. I heard it on Troops TV.
Okay. He'll know a lot more about Arsenal than me. SJ asks, is Smith Rowe or Jones a better option at 4.4 as a fifth midfielder? Smith Rowe obviously getting some minutes at Arsenal right now. Jones, I don't know which Jones you're on about, to be honest with you.
Is Jones? Is that Liverpool, is it?
Must be Liverpool Jones.
Curtis Jones, okay, yeah. Curtis Jones, who has also been getting quite a few minutes. But I think, Thiago's coming back.
Yeah.
I'll never know what the status of Keita is. But, there are a few options for Liverpool coming back from injury. Smith Rowe, probably. I mean, if you had to pick one.
Yeah, probably. I mean, neither of them have really been on my radar.
Who's your fifth midfielder? Is it
mine?
Suchek?
Yeah,
is it Suchek?
Yeah.
He's the worst, man. The worst fifth midfielder because I never get his points.
He always gets points when he's on the bench.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I mean, the only time I got points for him was when he came off my bench, and who was it that didn't play?
I think that's the reason why you've got Suchek. That's the reason why you've got Suchek. You've got that chance of a goal return. He's as good an asset to sit on the bench as anyone in the game at the moment.
Yeah. It's expensive for a fifth midfielder, don't get me wrong, but it's sometimes good. Well, I mean, 5 million, right?
Not when you've got 4.5 million defenders sat there and relatively cheap forward line. You can afford it.
Okay, Dean, who do you think the best 18 players from United and Tottenham defensively?
Tottenham, Reguilon, Dyer. Dyer, I think, again, is probably Mr. Reliable with respect to selection. Really boring, though. If you want something which is a bit more exciting, you might want to go Reguilon.
I mean, if you want exciting, Alex Telles possibly. I don't know if he starts now. He might have a niggle.
I don't know. I mean, look, my view is United defensively. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on them. I would probably stay away. They do concede a lot of chances.
So Reguilon is obviously the main pick here. Last question for today before we close up for the night. Remember, you've got about an hour and a half from now to make your subs just before the deadline closes. Vincent, last question. Kufal, Dallas, me, Diaz, Mitchell. Which three do I start? James.
I'm going me, Mitchell, Kufal, yeah.
If Mitchell playing again? I think he played the other day.
He started the last match. Yes.
But you're definitely going to start him against Sheffield United, aren't you?
Yeah.
100%.
If you're not going to do it, then
and you're going to play Henry against Fulham. That's if he's fit. That's if the game goes ahead. And then who was the other ones?
Kufal, Dallas, and
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
Dallas for attacking returns.
Okay. So there you have it, Vincent. All your questions answered. Like everyone else, guys, it's been a long episode, but it's been a good one. A lot of detail has been needed, a lot of information, as always, from the both of you on how to navigate through the next 3 game weeks. It's been long, but it's been tough. But I do think for everyone watching on FPL Expectation, it's been helpful. More importantly,
have you got 30 seconds for the cat pick?
Go on, let's do it. 30 seconds.
I got it on the wrong bloody screen earlier, so let me just see. I'm going to have to drag it across, I think. See how
So who's that on? Talk us through the options.
Bruno, Son, and Salah. And it's Bruno upside down, so he can't see which one it is.
This is exactly what it's come to, everyone watching.
Well, that's exactly it, right?
Okay, so and that was
he always goes left.
Okay, so who's that? Who did you put on the left?
Well, you'll see in a minute. Just wait. Don't. The suspense.
That's vice captain.
Oh, okay. You're gonna do a little reveal, are you?
Vice captain is
Son.
Bruno.
There you go.
Salah.
So it's son Bruno Salah from Oliver the Cat.
Son Bruno Salah. There you go, guys. If you were still unsure with an hour and a half to go on who you're captaining in game week 17, Oliver has just answered your question. There it is. Forget this metric. We'll get this one off there. No one needs that. We listen to Oliver the Cat. Son, Bruno, and boys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. All the best for game week 17. We'll touch base again over the next few days and hopefully release one in the coming days. But James, I want to thank you for coming on, giving us some of your time.
Cheers, man.
Mariner, thank you so much for all the information and all the hard work you did put in earlier today, along with Joe, who I will still give a shout out to, even though he couldn't make the show.
No, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without Joe. He's a great sounding post. He really helps me a lot. I think it's teamwork at the end of the day. That's why, and you must give him a shout out because he's now at 50k as well. By the way,
He's not too far off where you are. Actually, he's on the verge of 10k. So definitely a big shout out to Joe for helping us obviously construct that flow chart and help.
Just very quickly, the question has just come in from Dean. What's the Cat's correct win percentage? Successful times the Cat's right. He's got 3 out of 4 right this year, but he once picked Saudi Arabia to win in the World Cup, so I won.
There we go, boys. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. Good luck for game week 17. And to everyone watching FPL Expectations, thank you. I know it's been a long one, an hour and 30 minutes that we've done. But for all of you who have watched and stayed on with us from the start to the end, it's been a pleasure. It's been a long one, but I hope it has been helpful for all of you out there. There are some tricky roads ahead. Game week 17, 18, and 19 are going to be upon us fairly shortly, obviously, if this whole COVID situation goes well. But it's a big thank you from me for watching. Do continue to support us. If you're not following any of the guys on here today, we had FPL Mariner, we had James Stu. Please follow them on their Twitter accounts. It's at James Stu and at FPL Mariner. Do give me a follow as well. It's at Craig Marias 11. And if you're not following the account of FPL Expectations, please do at FPL Expectations. And do give us a subscribe down below for YouTube to get all your notifications whenever we do upload a video and upload some content for you. Thank you for staying with us through this long episode. Have a good game week 17 and best of luck.